Kevin Anthony Green, a great man who made bad choices. This is Kevin, turning on the TV to search for the Browns game with one hand while grabbing a slice of hot pepperoni pizza with the other. The sound of cheering in the background softly hums through the air as the announcer fills in viewers about what has happened so far in the game. The smell of pizza fills the air. He rolls his bright green eyes in disgust as he sees they are losing yet again. He looks to his left at his son Sean sitting on the sofa next to him and says, "Can you believe this? Second quarter and already 21-3. He glances out the window and sees his wife walking their dog Scruffy outside in the warm, beautiful sunlight. A gentle breeze comes through the window and blows his long brown hair. He goes to take another piece of pizza and drops a piece of pepperoni on the ground. He picks it up from the floor infested by dog toys and hair from Scruffy's shedding and throws it in the dog bowl for Scruffy when he returns from his walk. This is how a typical Sunday went for Kevin before his life slowly began fading. According to his brother, my father, family fun and laughter were three of his favorite things. The day everything started cascading towards hopelessness was the day he was told 8 terrifying words. "Kevin, you have stage 4 brain lung cancer." Kevin lived to be 54 years old, but looked a little older than he was. He had long hair that was a dull shade of brown and bright green eyes. He was average height and neither skinny nor overweight. Looking at him, it was very obvious he was a heavy smoker. He had putrid yellow teeth and always reeked of stale cigarettes. The wrinkled skin on his face and arms made him look 10 years older than he was. He smoked about a pack or a pack and a half of cigarettes per day, and it took its toll on his appearance and physical well-being. He coughed extremely violently quite frequently. Despite these few flaws, he was still a fun-loving individual. He loved watching sports on TV and going to games. He had his season pass to Cleveland Browns games and would always bring family members or friends with him. If there was a game he was not able to attend, it was guaranteed he would at least be watching the game on TV. His love for the Browns was so strong that he asked to be buried wearing a brown shirt and a Browns cap. Sometimes he would get together with my dad to watch games, and they would order pizza and wings, drink beer, and have a great time. Kevin loved eating pizza from a place called Rocco's, and every time they started eating the pizza, he would always say, "Good stuff." In addition to watching sports with family and friends, he also loved to golf. My father used to golf every week, and Kevin would frequently tag along. They would get together to drink and golf, and then go home and get a pizza and watch the game. Although Kevin loved to have fun, he was also a responsible and respectable man. He worked in outside sales at a business that sold building supplies for many years. He later moved up to become the manager at 2 different branches and even received his own office. He was a hard worker and was treated with respect from his coworkers and his customers. It is very easy to picture him approaching a customer to assist them while saying, "Is there anything I can help you with today, sir?" with a warm and welcoming smile on his face. After work, Kevin went home and was greeted by his wife, Tammy, and their 2 kids, Sean and Jennifer. My dad told me Kevin always thought it was funny to call Tammy Whammy because of the game show Whammy they watched together all the time together. Kevin was a loving and caring father who loved his family very much. He was a big influence to his children who looked up to him throughout their life. Kevin was a good father. He was always there for his kids, although they would disagree sometimes, just like any family. Kevin was a great person with good intentions, but he made bad choices early in his life. He began smoking and doing drugs early in his teens, a habit that stuck with him through the majority of his life. He got along well with his mother, but not so much with his father. He did not listen very well and frequently did things he was not supposed to do. When he was a teenager, he would go to concerts and hang out with friends when he was told he was not allowed to go. When he went, he would drink and get high with his friends. It does not really come as a surprise that he struggled through high school and never ended up going to college. When he was 17, he moved out of the house, and when he was 18, he had his first child. In addition to not having the best relationship with his parents, he also was not very close with his siblings when he was younger. He was the third oldest out of 7, so he was too old to get along well with the three youngest until they got older. James, his oldest sibling, did not associate with him when they were younger or even when they grew up, most likely due to a lack of common interests. Similarly, the 4th oldest child, Mike, did not spend much time with him when they were younger. Kevin liked to go out and party, and Mike preferred to stay home and do other things. Because of this, they did not get along very well until later in life. When they were in their upper 20s and 30s, Mike frequently tagged along with my father, Joe, and Kevin to go golfing and go to Browns and Indians games. The 2nd oldest child, Sharon, was almost always close with Kevin. Sharon and her husband, Frank, used to go out and do things with Kevin almost every week. They would go out and play cards together on the weekends. Sharon and Kevin both married and had kids early in life, and because they spent so much time together, their children became close and are still close to this day. When you find out someone close to you has a year to live, it is extremely difficult to take no matter what. As mentioned, Kevin smoked a lot of cigarettes, a whole pack or pack and a half per day, as well as a lot of marijuana. The harmful effects of cigarettes and marijuana, especially when being used in such large quantities, are very well known today. I believe everyone in the family knew that all the drug abuse would catch up with him one day, soon. Everyone could see it except Kevin. He was a stubborn man. He knew he was ill years before the diagnosis. My father says he would cough really violently and sometimes it would last for minutes at a time. He would also complain a lot about having a sore left shoulder. We knew there was something very wrong and would always tell him he needs to go to the doctor and get checked out, but he was stubborn and never would. My dad also told me, I think he knew there was something wrong with him deep down but was in denial. By the time he went to the doctor, treatable lung cancer had spread and become stage 4 brain lung cancer. Unfortunately, he truthfully brought his death upon himself. If he would have gone to the doctor and to get looked at years before, when he first started noticing something was wrong, the cancer would have been in the early stages and it could have been treated. It is my assumption he did not think he had cancer, but was aware that there was something very wrong with him. I was never very close to Kevin. When I was very little, his children were rather close to my dad, so Kevin came around a lot. I'm sorry. However, I am unable to remember him being there because of how little I was. Most of the things I know about him I have heard from my dad. As he entered his upper 40s and 50s, he started to become very distant to everyone around him. He stopped doing things with my dad, stopped coming to family events on the holidays, and soon even distanced himself from his wife. The only person who will ever truthfully know why he did this is him. I asked my father why he thinks Kevin stopped coming around, and he said, I'm honestly not sure why he became so distant. Maybe he felt self-conscious that he did marijuana and thought we would judge him or think he was a bad person. Maybe he just felt like he didn't have anything in common with us anymore. It is also possible he was sick and dying the last few years of his life and didn't have the energy or desire to do things with people anymore. Because of this, I never had the chance to get to know him until he had the cancer. I spent a good amount of time with him during his last year on Earth. My father and I went to visit him once per month and usually brought other family members with us each time we went. He was quiet and sarcastic most of the times I saw him for obvious reasons. At the beginning, it was easy to sense frustration and a hint of denial about death every time talk about his cancer arose. He would get quiet and make some sarcastic comments. However, throughout this last year, I could still see his true self shine through. We went to his house to watch games and eat pizza, and he would joke around with us. It always made me really happy he never lost his sense of humor, even when his life turned into a living hell. I still vividly remember the last time I ever saw him. It was a freezing, snowy day. My father, 2 of my uncles, and 2 of his children went to his house to watch the Super Bowl. We ordered pizza from his favorite place, Rocco's. We all gathered together in his living room and watched the game on his TV. It was very obvious he was in his final days. He hardly touched the pizza and watched the TV emotionless. He was frail, and every time he spoke, it was a raspy whisper. Every time he coughed, it sounded like he was using all his energy to get it out. That night was extremely emotional. Everyone spent the night holding back tears and trying to make Kevin happy for one last memory of him. He seemed indifferent that we were there, but I knew he was happy and did not have the energy to show it. We planned on leaving early because I had school the next day, but the snow was so bad that school ended up getting canceled. Because of this, we stayed at his house for the whole game. He fell asleep during the third quarter, but we all still talked and enjoyed his presence. At the end of the night, we all hugged his frail skeleton of a body for the last time. I told him I loved him, and his final words to me were, stay out of trouble, make good choices. He gave me the advice he needed when he was my age. Kevin, I can feel your presence as I put the final words on this essay. I know I did not know you that well while you were with us here on Earth, but you live on through my dad's memories of you that he shares with me. I never knew what to think of you, but he assured me you were a great person who simply made the wrong choices. He tells me how funny you were and how you could put a smile on anyone's face. I wish you would not have been too stubborn to get help so that I could get to know you much better in person, but that can never happen. I cannot wait to meet you up in heaven and get to know everything about you. Thank you for helping light the path in my life that leads away from drugs and alcohol. Seeing what you had to go through makes me never want to go through something similar. I was able to get to know you better in the last year of your life, but like the song Cancer by 21 Pilots says, you were soggy from the chemo, counting down the days to go. That was not the real you, and I will not meet the real you until I see you in heaven. Until that day comes, thank you for the impact you've had on my life. You have had on my life, and I will never forget you. I will think of you when I see your empty chair at family gatherings, and when I see the picture of you my dad has hanging on the wall. Until that day, please help guide me away from the wrong path that you chose.